Hi, today I'll be explaining the helmet middleware commonly used in Express applications. If you didn't know, Express uses middlewares to access the request and response objects in an application's request-response cycle, which is essentially data being transferred to the backend and then handled by these different functions. For today's tutorial, I generated these files here on the left using the Express generator. I used the EJS templating engine to replicate a petition page from change.org. So here's the basic HTML for this page. I'm going to go ahead and run the command nodeman. So on this page I have a basic title, description, picture, but at the bottom I'm using Express to create a signature box which allows people to insert their name. So I'll go ahead and do Jim Bob from Seattle. Then I'll go ahead and sign this petition right here. And so now I'll update my signature box with the person, their city, and I'll also keep track of how many people have signed in this box. So Helmet is a middleware comprised of multiple other middlewares that allow you to secure common vulnerabilities in your website. So for example, an attacker could go to F12, they could go to the networking section right here, they could click on style.css and have this response headers section. At the very bottom we have this property called X powered by, and this pretty much tells anyone that I'm using the Express web framework to create my website. So this could allow attackers to specifically tailor their attacks for an Express application. So it's good to hide this by default when you're creating your website. So this is where Helmet comes in handy. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my page here, and I'm going to click on my app.js file, and I'm going to go to the very top of my page. So I'm going to go ahead and create a variable called Express, or a variable called Helmet, and then I'm going to call the require function. So this takes in a parameter, and this is where you can pass in your middleware name by a string value, and it'll tell your Express application to use that middleware. So I'm going to go ahead and call Helmet and pass it in there. And I'm now going to go below where my app is created and go down here, and I'm just going to kind of section out an area. I'm going to call this Helmet config, and I'm now going to call my app variable, which was defined on line 11, and this is instancing the Express middleware to tell my web application I'm using Express. So I'm going to call my app variable, and I'm going to use the use keyword, and this just tells the Express application to use this middleware now. So I'll go ahead and pass in my variable, and I'll instance the variable. I'm going to go ahead and restart my program. So if you were to restart this and you get an error saying that your website has crashed, that is because you are not configured with Helmet. So you need to go ahead and install Helmet. So use your packaging manager to install this. So I'm using npm, so I'll do npm install Helmet. So now I'm going to go ahead and rerun this, and it is working. So now I'm going to go back to my page. I'm going to go ahead and refresh my page, click F12, go to my networking tab, go back to the same section, and I'm going to go to my response headers. And you'll see that a ton more properties have just been added, and you'll see that I can no longer view that I'm using the Express web application for my framework. So you may be wondering what all these properties here are doing on your web application. I'll go ahead and link this website below in the description. Alright, so this page will explain what each property does on your web page. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here, and it just shows that these are the default headers that you will now see when you use Helmet, and which is true. I can see those exact headers listed right here. If I scroll to the very bottom of the page, we have to the reference section. It will go ahead and explain what each of those properties is doing. So right here, if we click on helmet.hide powered by, this tells us that it went ahead and hid that powered by default. So no longer can this person see what tool we are using to create our web application, but it also explains what all of these other ones are doing. So if you're interested in understand what all those properties are doing, you can click on this, and they'll even give links to the MDNs on each one of these vulnerabilities. So like I said earlier, Helmet uses 15 individual middlewares. The way we configured Helmet was just like this. We just imported Helmet, and then we used it in our web application. However, we could have also done it like this. We could have just called each individual middleware and then configured each of them individually. So the reason why this could be useful is because right here we could have just called the specific middleware that we want and then set it to false. So this pretty much just tells our web application, don't use this middleware. However, this is only for specific situations, and I recommend just using the default helmet configuration. So that is how you can secure your web page using the helmet middleware. Thank you for watching.